Man, I called it. I know for a fact that a lot of people walking into this matchup for the last Monster Standing match, they knew there was going to be destruction. They knew there was going to be chaos, but man, talk about that last spot to end the matchup. What's going on, pro wrestling fans? My name is Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome to another post-show reaction to Monday Night Raw. And of course, I'm alluding to the main event, the last Monster Standing between Braun Strowman and Big Bronson Reed. What a matchup, really. I mean, from start to finish. We knew because of the build of this matchup, it would lead to some chaotic spots. We saw a bunch of barricade spots. We saw table spots. We saw Braun Strowman leaping from the top rope, hitting a crossbody on a sea of humanity. And obviously, we got to talk about the big spot at the end. The ring collapses due to a superplex by Bronson Reed onto Braun Strowman. There were little hints throughout the course of this build, as well as the way that the arena had been structured. Obviously, we knew when the barricade went down, it kind of opened up a little spacings for the turnbuckles and the ring post to collapse. There was obviously a camera in place as well. I don't want to get too much into the inside aspects of pro wrestling, but man, what a successful spot. The crowd was into it. The wrestlers were into it. And if that wasn't enough to satiate your appetite for a little bit of excitement for Monday Night Raw, how about the return of Seth freaking Rollins? We haven't seen him for a couple months since the attack by Bronson Reed, and a lot of people, and myself included, alluded to the fact that maybe this would lead to a feud between Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. That appears to be the case. After the spot where the ring collapsed, Seth Rollins makes his way down the aisle. We saw a little bit of a shadow on who was coming, but then it was made apparent that once the referee was nearing the complete 10 count, Seth Rollins would enter the ring, hitting a curb stomp onto Bronson Reed on top of some steel steps to seal the victory for Braun Strowman. A fantastic match from start to end. The only complaint I had was the commercial breaks in between, but nonetheless, they delivered on what was one of the more chaotic matches in WWE this year. Again, a fun matchup and really a great opportunity to showcase both individuals. Braun Strowman, a former Universal Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion with Nicholas. I don't know if you guys remember that. And then you give an opportunity for Bronson Reed to have a spotlight. He took this one attack on Seth Rollins, led into a attack on R-Truth, The Miz, and he was just building and building momentum to now where he's a certified star, and we love to see the tsunami on Monday Night Raw. I'm curious to see how we're gonna build this feud between the two, Rollins and Reed, that is. Are we going to lead to a matchup possibly at Crown Jewel Survivor Series? Regardless, it's going to be a good matchup when you have someone the likes of Seth Rollins who can have a great match with about anybody, and Bronson Reed, who has been rejuvenated and re-energized with this newfound hype and push that the WWE have been providing him. But that wasn't the only thing to happen on Monday Night Raw that made headlines. Obviously, we opened up Monday Night Raw with the new Intercontinental Champion Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, who had defeated Braun Breaker for that title last week on Raw. And one of the key differences was the championship title itself. There was a little bit of a hint of blue on the Intercontinental Championship, which is traditionally all gold with the black strap, but having the hint of blue I thought was a great choice by the WWE. Obviously, if you're online, you saw there was some fans out there who were petitioning for some blue to be added to the Intercontinental Championship, especially with someone like Jey Uso, who is trademark in his blue Yeet gear. You would think he would add some kind of flair to it, and I'm glad they went that route. It gives it a little bit more personality. It's a little bit more easier on the eyes for sure, and for pro wrestling fans who are familiar with the Intercontinental Championship, it does lend itself to be kind of reminiscent of the late 90s, early 2000s Intercontinental Championship that was held by the likes of Randy Orton. It was also held from like Edge, Chris Jericho, Christian, the Hardys, even Rikishi, who had held that championship in the year 2000. And now fast forward a quarter of a century later, and his son Jey Uso is the Intercontinental Championship. A great moment for him. He had a great promo praising his mother, praising the fans who have supported him throughout this whole ordeal, and to see him as the Intercontinental Championship is such refreshing New start for Jay in his path as a single star. And we had Braun Breaker actually come out from the back, and a lot of people were anticipating some kind of rematch or some kind of altercation, a physical altercation between the two. But they really just signified a face turn for Braun Breaker. Jay Uso having a handshake, a congratulatory handshake by Braun Breaker to Jay Uso. And now it appears that Braun Breaker is headed for a face turn, which I think is great. The crowd is on his side. Great moveset. Great young and up and coming star. Curious to see where we go from there. Obviously, he had an altercation with Gunther in the backup. Maybe that'll lead to something down the line. But for what it's worth, Jey Uso, your new IC champion. Awesome. Just awesome. After that, we had a matchup between Xavier Woods and Rey Mysterio, the all-time great Rey Mysterio, Hall of Famer. And what was a competitive matchup and really just what you expected to be. Rey Mysterio, one of the all-time greats. Xavier Woods, no slouch in the ring himself. But with this storyline being teased that Xavier Woods is getting fed up with, this whole good guy persona, he really took advantage of this matchup against Rey. Rey, of course, would go for a maneuver 619. He misses it, gets a counter, and Xavier Woods finds a way to counter it, but also removes the mask of Rey Mysterio. For a brief moment there, Rey was unmasked on TV, which is such a heelish move to do, regardless whether or not Xavier Woods wants to accept it. He assures everybody, he tells Kofi Kingston that it wasn't on purpose. He didn't intend to remove the mask of Rey Mysterio, but you see it in broad daylight. This man took off the mask of Rey Mysterio, and I think we're edging closer and closer to this inevitable heel turn for Xavier Woods. That, I think, definitely is up there with one of the more despicable acts that a heel can do. You look at the likes of individuals who have done similar things: Alberto Del Rio, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, just to name a few. All have had a hand in this very same spot of removing Rey's mask and taking advantage of it for a victory. Later in the night, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods' buddy, his New Day teammate, would have a matchup as well against Chad Gable, and seemingly had the match won had Xavier Woods not interfered. You see, Kofi Kingston was about to hit his finish, the Trouble in Paradise, onto Chad Gable, but Xavier Woods holding the foot, grabbing the ankle rather, of Chad Gable, preventing him from moving closer to Kofi for him to hit that maneuver. Again, whether it's unintentional or not a good look for the New Day. Not a good look. And there was a moment in the back where it seemed that they were arguing. It was during the Braun Breaker and Gunther segment in the back. You could see them arguing with one another, obviously growing frustrated with one another. Tensions are building high, and it wouldn't be the only tag team to have some form of tension being built up. We saw that The Miz and R-Truth finally reunited after the attacks by Bronson Reed. They would be facing against Authors of Pain. But what was a shocking move here, The Miz betrays his longtime friend, his tag team partner, R-Truth, ending the Awesome Truth. And I think the writing was on the wall. We knew this tag team wasn't meant to last long, but it caught me off guard when we had the heel turn tonight. The Miz, I think, is just a natural heel. I think he's done so much better when he is a villain. Don't get me wrong, he's had some decent babyface runs, but to me it seems he's much more comfortable. He's much more relaxed, and it's just a natural fit when he's playing the bad guy. And R-Truth is as sympathetic as a babyface as you can get. So surely we're going to have a matchup between the two. Fans are going to pull behind R-Truth. Fans are going to boo The Miz, which I think works out perfectly for him. And hopefully it leads to a little bit of a mini push for him. Let's build back The Miz with some momentum. He is a quality star. I do believe he's a Hall of Famer with all the accolades that he's amassed throughout his career, but he's also just a good hand in the ring. So hopefully this is good things for everyone involved, and to see what happens with Karrion Kross, who has had a hand in Xavier Woods and The Miz's change in behavior. So keep an eye on Karrion Kross and the Final Testament. Speaking of groups, we did have a great altercation between the Judgment Day and the Terror Twins, leading to Dominic Mysterio getting jumped by Rhea Ripley, banging him against the shark cage that he will be locked inside of during the Women's World title match at Bad Blood. But ultimately, at the end, we saw that the Judgment Day stood tall over the Terror Twins, and the build, I will say, has a little bit of a hit or miss for me. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to both matches, but I feel like they've left a little bit, of more to be desired. I think there was a little bit more heat that we could have implemented, certainly on the Finn Balor Damian Priest feud. As for Morgan and Ripley, they've done their thing. I think it's worked out fine for what it is. But the Balor Priest thing, I just don't know. I feel like I want a little bit more. I trust both athletes to have a great matchup and to work well with what they're given. But nonetheless, the Judgment Day stand tall over Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. We're on the road to Bad Blood. And a match that won't be included in Bad Blood, it was actually announced that on next week's Monday Night Raw, the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther will be defending his title against Sami Zayn. And we saw more of that feud here on Raw tonight. Sami Zayn assuring Gunther, you're not going to get rid of me that easy. That he knows he's beaten Gunther before. And I'm glad they finally acknowledged it here on this episode. He told him that I beat you at WrestleMania. And what did you do? You tucked your tail and you hid. You were gone from WWE for months on end. You didn't ask for a rematch. You didn't go to Adam Pearce for a rematch. No, you ran away. And Gunther acknowledged the fact that it was the biggest disappointment in his WWE career to date, being that his father had traveled all the way to WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, and to watch him lose against, quote, a bum like Sami Zayn. That eats up at Gunther. So he was hesitant to have this matchup, but now it's set up. We're going to have 2 title matches next week. We're going to have Jey Uso defending his IC title against Xavier Woods, and the world champion, Gunther, defending his championship against Sami Zayn. Will we have a title change? I don't think so. I think both titles are probably going to stick with their respective holders, but I love the fact that we're getting these high-profile matches on Monday Night Raw. It would have been more suited on a PLE like Bad Blood, but it only assures fans that, hey, you have to tune in every week on Monday nights and Friday nights, because you never know when a fantastic match like this last Monster Standing match will take place. Finally, for our last segment here on the post-show reaction, I have to talk about the Hell in a Cell. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had their little promo off in the middle of the ring, trying to get those last moments where they're going to sell you the matchup, but really, there's no more selling. This is the matchup, the Hell in a Cell. CM Punk, the best in the world. Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior. Inside the cage, come on. And what was great is they even included the cell on this week's Raw, just to further, drop the background and the backdrop for the matchup, setting the stage. Drew McIntyre assuring CM Punk that he was going to send him basically into retirement, that he would injure Punk again. We won't see Punk ever again in the WWE. And he keeps trying to feed into this notion that the fans are hypocrites, they're blinded, that he will bring out the truth and prove to everybody that CM Punk truly is a disease in the WWE. And CM Punk, ever so much, one of the greatest promos in WWE, I believe, assured Drew McIntyre that he will defeat him. He'll send him home to Scotland in a box. And we even had more references, of course, to AJ Lee, CM Punk's wife, saying that he's, kayfabe, stayed in a hotel these last couple weeks, this month, I believe is what he said, because he doesn't like who he's become, and he wants to prevent his wife from seeing that. And I think that this matchup should be the main event. If you watched our latest episode of the J Area podcast, I dive deep into why I believe there is only one answer as to what should be the main event of Bad Blood. It is the Hell in a Cell between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, the ending of the feud that has lasted basically all year, leading from the Royal Rumble when Drew McIntyre injured CM Punk to WrestleMania where he won the world title but was costed that very same title in 5 minutes and 46 seconds by CM Punk, all the way to Clash at the Castle where Punk interfered, costing the matchup. Money in the Bank cost Drew the matchup. SummerSlam, Bash in Berlin, it's been all year and it comes to a head. This is the match that needs to close out that show, and mark my words, I think it is going to close that show. I don't know how they do it without closing it, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Do you agree with my assessment that the Hell in a Cell should be the main event? What were your thoughts on that last Monster Standing matchup? And if you enjoyed this post-show reaction, give the video a thumbs up and like it. Comment down below, like I said, all the previous jargon that we just talked about. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all these videos that are produced regarding around the world of professional wrestling. And of course, my name's been Jose Ramos Jr., and I'll see you in the next one.